I was there yesterday. Walked all the way here and then up that peak, Wallenstinden.
On my third day in Lofoten, my trek started from the hostel that I stayed in Fredvang. I followed the paved road towards a village on the trailhead towards Ryten. After reaching Ryten and the viewpoint of Kvalvika Beach, I followed the trail down the hill to reach the beach. From there, I walked towards a mountain pass to reach the Selfjord Bay, where I camped for the night. The day had started quietly in Fredvang. Soft light spilled across the rooftops, and the fjord breathed out a cool, steady mist. As I walked, red houses slipped past like markers on the path. Soon the road opened into wide meadows, dew catching the sun like tiny mirrors. Innersand appeared almost suddenly, a scattering of homes against the shoreline. Leaving the village, the trail began to climb. Moss covered the rocks, and small alpine flowers burned bright against the grey. Each step grew heavier, the slope carving its rhythm into my breathing. The wind picked up, carrying stories of its own. And every so often, the ocean flashed through breaks in the ridge, deep blue and endless. Along the trail, the hills stood guard ahead, as if keeping Ryten a secret. Looking back, I saw the trail that I walked from the previous day. The jagged peaks were more prominent as the sky was clearer than before. As I went higher, the panorama became more and more breathtaking. I chose a path that allowed me to go even higher, until I reached a hut perched along the hill's craggy landscape. From there, I gazed upon the rolling peaks of Lofoten, with the fjords glistening below. I took a break while taking in the view. And then, I continued walking towards Ryten. The peak finally rose ahead, first gradual and then suddenly sharp against the sky. The path switchbacked, and with every turn, Kvalvika Bay revealed itself below, sand cradled by cliffs and the sea moving like glass. The view made me feel small, but in the best way, reminding me of the scale of this land. I paused halfway up, letting the wind tug at my jacket and tasting the salt on my lips. During the final stretch, each step was deliberate, with the summit pulling me closer. At the top, I saw Kvalvika Beach below, painted like an artist's masterpiece, while Fredvang sat far in the distance, a reminder of where the journey had begun. I stood there not to conquer, but to witness. the meeting of sea and land, the elated chatter of fellow hikers, the simple brilliance of being alive in a place that asked nothing more than to be experienced. And when I turned to descend, I carried with me the clarity of a view I would keep. On its foothill, I collected my heavy rucksack and continued on with my trek, following the wooden trail towards the twin beach below. The path started off really easy, but as soon as I reached the descent to Kvalvika Beach, the trail became a little bit more rugged. Gigantic boulders scattered along a very steep trail made the walk a bit more difficult while carrying a heavy bag, but I managed to power through it. Finally, I stepped foot on the soft sands of Kvalvika Beach. I took a break and made a big gulp out of my water bottle. The sun glistened on the gentle waves ahead, while people enjoyed the dip to cool down from the heat of the Arctic sun. Once again, I grabbed my bag and continued on my journey. I had to get through the boulders that separate the two beaches. This meant going through some slippy trail, another challenge that I had to face for this day. After reaching the beach, I lingered for a while, letting the sound of the waves settle into my mind. The sea was calm, but the air carried a quiet urgency, as if the mountains behind me were cooling. I packed up slowly, brushing sand from my gear, and turned inland. The trail rose quickly, steep and narrow, winding through boulders and patches of stubborn grass. My breath grew heavier, boots slipping slightly on loose stones, and soon the beach disappeared behind me, replaced by the silence of the higher ground. The wind picked up as I climbed, tugging at my jacket. At the top of the pass, Vatnet came into view, so still and cradled in a bowl of earth. The lake mirrored the sky, and I stood there for a moment, letting the silence wrap around me. It was the kind of quiet that made you feel small and held, like the landscape opened just enough to let you in. The path beyond the lake was rougher, less defined. I moved carefully, weaving through moss-covered rocks and patches of mud. The terrain shifted constantly, one moment soft and spongy, the next sharp and unforgiving. Then, Vatnet appeared, darker than Vatnet, deeper somehow, its surface broken only by the occasional ripple of wind. I followed the trail along its edge, occasionally meeting other hikers. The silence grew thicker. The sky had no hint of dimming due to the long summer days. As the sun began to almost touch the horizon, I descended towards Selfjorden. The fjord opened slowly, like a curtain being drawn back. The water stretched out in a wide, calm expanse. The air was warmer here. I could hear the distant lapping of water against the rock, the occasional call of a seabird echoing across the bay. I reached Selfjord Bay just as twilight settled in. The grass was soft underfoot, and I found a flat patch near the water to pitch my tent. The fjord lay quiet. The mountains glowed like gold under the midnight sun. I lit a small stove, cooked my dinner, and sat on a rock while gazing upon the beauty of nature in front of me. I sat by the shore and let the journey settle, from the wild, rugged terrain of Ryten to the calm waters of Selfjord Bay. And now, with the fjord breathing slow and steady beside me, it felt like this page of my journey had turned, and I am ready to tackle whatever challenges that I would face the following day.